Hello everyone, I hope you had a wonderful holiday. I hope you're doing well. I'm doing fine. And I wanted to update you on what I've been up to over the past month or so. I've been working on a number of projects, and one of them was designing a card reader tester for pinball machines. And basically what we have are these card readers that go in Bally pinball machines. And they come in two flavors. There's a 5-volt card and then there's a 50-volt card. And I had to design a system to test these and be able to determine if the card plugged in was 5 volts or 50 volts. And this is kind of what we've come up with here so far. Let me get this over where you can see it. You zoom in a little. There we go. I'll go over the circuit here and kind of show you how it works. So when you turn the unit on, it tells you that it's ready. And what we need to do is come down and push a button. And the first thing it will do is test the voltages on each of the lines and then display the results. Now you'll notice that this LCD is a little bit small. It's not actually displaying all 5 voltage readings on the transistors. And I'll explain all about that here in a moment, which is a very interesting and sad story at the same time. So at this point, we can push a button again, and it's going to try and determine what kind of card is plugged in. And I do have the 5-volt card plugged in. It turns on the LEDs, which activates the photo transistors on the other side of the card, and then reads the voltages and displays the results. Now I'll go ahead and plug in the 50-volt card here, and we'll do the test again. Make sure I have got that lined up right. That looks good. Okay, so we'll hit the key and it's checking. And it's displaying, it's doing the read first and displaying our results. And I press the key again, it's going to say, oh, wait a minute, is this a 50-volt card? And we're going to say yes. And it will turn on the lamps and do the test. You can see it failed right there. I'm not quite sure why. Maybe something isn't powered up correctly here. And let's try that again. There we go. That time it worked. Gotta love breadboard connections. Hardly ever reliable. So let's go through the circuit and see exactly what's going on here, and I will remove the cards so we can see better what we've got. So we have a 1516 MCU here, got 2 read relays over here, 2 switches here, programming port, LCD display, and then our card interface right here with pull-up resistors. Now when the card reader itself, and just to remind you, when I say card reader, I'm talking about these, is not powered, the pull-up resistor should read 5 volts or close to 5 volts. When the card reader is powered up, the voltage should drop. And as we've seen, that's the result here. We got to 0.2, 0.2, 0.1, and 0.1. And again, you'll notice the third transistor or photo transistor isn't listed here because I'm using a smaller LCD than I originally was. And we have a 50-volt booster here, which is taking 12 volts and pushing that up to 50 volts, which is what's required to light those lights on the 50-volt card. So I was playing around with these read relays, which were recovered from another circuit. They work fine. I had the 50 volts going through that relay. And I could get the voltage to go through the relay, but it wasn't making it actually to the 50-volt card. So I wanted to check and make sure that the circuit was right, so I took the 50-volt line here, bypassed the relay, and plugged it directly in to to see if the lamps would light up. Now, what happened was I did the card test. It went through. It asked me, is this a 50-volt card? I said no, which turned on the 5-volt relay, which sent 50 volts running through everything, including my PICKit 3. I was devastated. I mean, the LCD display I had out here immediately just went completely bonkers. The PICKit 3 shut down. My computer told me that the connection to the PICKit 3 had been lost. Realizing my mistake, I immediately powered down, pulled things apart, and, well, it wasn't pretty. So the LCD display was totally fried. You powered it up and all kinds of strange things happened on the display. It was obvious that it had the logic was completely gone. It was destroyed. The microcontroller, completely destroyed. The PICKit 3, amazingly, as far as I can tell, is working fine with one exception. The onboard power supply to the circuit you're working on is stuck at 4.9 volts. It won't go up and it won't go down. As far as I can tell, that is the only damage the PICKit 3 has suffered. So I'm actually quite happy about that. So I can still program with it, I can still debug with it, I can do all those things. And I plan on telling Microchip about this and, asking, trying to find out more about why the PICKit 3 survived that accident with such minor damage. Now, unfortunately, the display I was using was a 2-line by 16 character, and I didn't have another one of those on hand. I did have a 2-line by 12 character. Unfortunately, the pitch on the connector here is 1.27 millimeters. That doesn't work very well. I bought those by mistake. Didn't see any point in returning them. I figured I'd use them at some point in some project down the road. But since it was pretty much close to what I was using, I'm just missing a few characters here. The pinout is identical. I went ahead and rigged up this system here where I'm taking the 1.27 pitch and bringing it out to 2.54 or 0.100 inches. And it allowed me to plug in this replacement LCD and continue working on the project. The other thing I did after my incident, I added a diode here on the 5-volt line to protect the 5-volt supply. This is a 50-volt, 75-volt peak diode here. So it will allow 5 volts through, but if I screwed up again, it won't let the 50 volts make it to anything else. Should have had that in there in the first place. Here is the dead LCD. And I went ahead and, since it was no longer functional, took it apart, mainly to get to the backlight, which is an RGB backlight, so that I could salvage and keep that and play around with it later on. Okay, thanks for watching. Have a great day. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. And be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe. Take care.